Hello, true believers. This is Ron for Kind of Nerdy, and it's time for Uncanny X-Men number 185. The issue you all have been anticipating, I'm so sure. And the title is Rogue, Public Enemy. Dun dun dun. Now, it's funny, looking at this cover, this is like the 1980s version of clickbait. You see Rogue standing on the cover, and she has Storm holding her, and she obviously has Storm's powers because you can see like her eyes are white like Storm's are when she uses her weather control powers, and there's lightning all around her. Another excellent cover by John Romita Jr. But like I said, this is like the version of the 80s version of clickbait. You bought the comic, and then this doesn't even happen in the comic. So, anyways, getting to the story. Well, we got the first page, and it's an ad for the movie The Last Starfighter. This was actually an excellent 80s. This is like a typical 80s movie. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it's about this teenage guy that lives in a trailer park, and the only thing he's good at is video games. And there's a video game in the trailer park called The Last Starfighter, and he aces it. And when he aces it, he ends up becoming an actual starfighter to defend the universe against evil alien armada, and so it's really interesting how it's your typical it's not a typical movie, but it's a it meets all the things that were 80s that typify the 80s. We got the small town guy that wants to dream big, and the only thing that he can do is play video games, and has a girlfriend that loves him and all that. And the only thing that he ends up, and so he wants to get out of town. The only way he gets out of town is to get way out of town into space. So you got your sci-fi adventure and your teenage angst and video games. All the top three things for the 80s. So you guys gotta forgive me. I just woke up. I meant to do this last night, but I was so tired. And now when I get up, I sound like I'm congested and all that, so I'm not. So just bear with me here. All right. So the splash page, the first page of the story, we have a picture of Rogue flying. It says "Public Enemy," the Pentagon, Washington D.C. It's funny. It's this. It insinuates that they took a picture of Rogue when she attacked the helicarrier in issue 182. If you have not read that issue, I do have a video posted. I will put a link of it in the description of this video. So then you also want to read 183 and 184, but 182 ties directly into this story. But it's as if this is supposed to be like a picture of her attacking the helicarrier. Well, if they got this picture, then how did she attack the helicarrier? Or maybe it was supposed to be one of the fighter planes. I don't think they had that great of photography back in '84. Anyway, so this is the Pentagon. You see all these guys sitting around the table talking about her. What's interesting here is none of these guys are military, so why are they sitting at the Pentagon? And the guy with the glasses and red hair, that's Peter Henry Gyrich. He's like the one of the government protagonists against mutants in the 80s. He was really big in the subplots in the 80s, and then he just vanished. They quit using him. The same with Valerie Cooper. You can see her on the right far the end of the table. Anyways, it says this gentleman and lady is Rogue. I only see one lady. She is a mutant and as dangerous and as she is powerful. She is our target. Some months ago, she was involved in a battle on this very premises with a team of so-called superheroes, also mutants, the X-Men. This film, taken at that time, illustrates her various abilities, phenomenal strength, invulnerability, and deadliest of all, the power to absorb the thoughts and memories and physical talents of whoever she touches. In this case, the X-Men's leader, Storm. This transferal can be temporary or permanent depending on length of contact. So it's funny, Rogue doesn't know how long it lasts, and yet they somehow know how long the absorption of memories and powers is. I guess the government knows more than what they let on. So Though originally affiliated with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Rogue has of late been operating with the X-Men. In all probabilities, therefore, she was not fighting them in earnest, but merely providing a diversion, allowing another teammate to penetrate our Prime data bank and erase all references to the X-Men and mutants in general from the entire Federal Computer Network. A further possibility is that the X-Men and Brotherhood have formed an alliance. They may even have been working secretly together from the outset. Finally, Rogue recently effected the escape of an yet unidentified operative from S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. During this action, she killed one of Colonel Fury's agents. Our assignment is to bring her to justice. Yeah, now we know if you read 192, she didn't kill the guy. The guy was killed by another infiltrator to shield an agent for the Brotherhood of Evil, not the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, for the Hellfire Club. So he holds up this weapon. This weapon, provided by the armorer Forge, is designed to neutralize the superpowers of its targets. One good shot will essentially transform Rogue into a normal human being. Now, if I'm not mistaken, last issue when Forge had the weapon, was talking to Valerie Cooper and Mystique about it, he told them that he didn't want to release it into their hands, and yet they have it. See, this is what I'm saying. If the government wants something, it doesn't matter if you want them to have it or not. They will take it, even in 1984. And somebody burst through the door. Raven Darkholme, a.k.a. Mystique. Guy Rich, this is a private briefing, Dr. Darkholme. You have no business here. I'll be more than happy to leave once I have Forge's neutralizer. Raven, calm down. The blazes I will. That project's top secret. Guy Rich shouldn't even know of the gun's existence, much less possess the only functional prototype. I have authorization, Doctor. It's untested, you fool. We've no idea what effect it'll have. Then this would seem the ideal opportunity to learn. What, Val? This was your idea? I like one of my favorite things with John Romita Jr.'s drawing, where he does the double take. You know how he does it? They're like faces looking two different ways at one time. That's the comic book version of the double take. It says, I'm sorry, Raven. I understand your feelings, but Rogue's a killer, and this weapon may be the only means of safely dealing with her. If it doesn't work, we're no worse off than before. If it does, think of the ramifications. We no longer have to live in terror of supervillains. One zap, and their powers are gone. Their threat removed. Yes, but if they can use it on villains, they can use it on heroes. Excuse me. I'll protest. Wasted time. This policy decision came over from the Oval Office. Like it or not, Raven, you'll just have to live with it. Professor Charles Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, Salem Center, New York. Professor, forgive my interruption, but Rogue is gone. Are you certain, Storm? When did this happen? Sometime last night. We see Storm come bursting in. You know, there's a lot of door bursting in these comics. You know, people just bust through doors. You know, well, maybe the door was open. I don't know, because it looks like she's holding the door open, but maybe it was open. But I'm thinking that since Rachel is laying here on this couch and Professor Xavier is sitting in a chair, not a wheelchair, that they're just that there's some kind of therapy session going on, and so Storm just busts in, you know. And anyways, she says, her bed was not been slept in, and the closet is empty. She left no note. Excuse us a moment, Rachel. Sure, Professor. I understand. We'll continue our session upon my return. So yeah, it's a session, and freaking Storm just burst in, you know, because she could at least knocked on the door, I guess. But then it wouldn't be as dramatic. I can't sense Rogue's thoughts that places her beyond the New York metropolitan area. Your concern and distress are obvious, or why? These past weeks, ever since her encounter with Michael Rossi, See last issue 182. Rogue has become increasingly tense and unstable, rebuffing all my attempts to help. Evidently, she managed to hide her condition from you, and since Rossi is away on a mission, I have been unable to get his explanation. Boy, he must heal fast because he got the crap beat out of him in 182, and now all of a sudden he's on a mission. um, Rogue turned to the X-Men because her powers were driving her insane. We thought she was getting better, but now I am desperately afraid that she may be suffering a relapse. Follow me to my lab. We'll use my cerebral psi scanner to try to and here we have the standard Oreo cookie ad where you can send away 3 proof of purchases of Fig Newtons, not Oreo, my bad, and you can get a copy of Marvel Tales with Spider-Man. It's a comic that's been out of circulation for a while, but you send 3 proof of purchases to get a free comic. And I've told you all about how I done the one with the Cookie Crisp to get the free X-Men comic. Anyway, so Rogue was one of the X-Men who rescued me, but Selene, but I don't remember her. So what else is new? The more I see in this era, the less my memories mean anything. Last issue. I hurled myself back in time to save my future Earth from destruction. I never dreamed I'd end up in the wrong past. I wonder how deep the differences run. There's an entry for Cyclops, but it's in Alaska. What's he doing there? I'm making a mistake. I shouldn't call, but to hear his voice again, to know he's alive, and that some things can't change no matter what. Hello, this is Scott Summers. Is anyone there? What is it? What's up, hon? No answer. Probably a crank. She starts crying. Or a wrong number. Crying more. Hangs up the phone. Daddy, Mom. She thinks it's Jean Grey, but it's not. So, why is Cyclops her dad? And she thinks that Jean Grey's alive. Alright. Oh, here's an ad. It hasn't been any other comics I showed. I remember these as a kid, too. My brother actually sold these things. It was a... you sold a... give cards and gifts and free from a Free Sales album, and you sold them. You went door to door to sell them to people, and you got prizes. So the more you sold, the better prizes you could get. So but the thing is, the things were so freaking expensive that to sell, it was hard to sell those items. Oh look, if you look down here on the bottom left, the third thing down on the far left, there's a game. They had a Dungeons and Dragons game set. I didn't even freaking realize that. Dungeons and Dragons, that brings back memories. That box set was the first. It was not AD&D. It was just regular Dungeons and Dragons. Wow, I didn't even know that was one of the things they offered. That's pretty cool. But they have like all kinds of things that you could have got if you sold so many items. Westlock AM/FM stereo headset radio. Only had to sell 18 items. It tells you these low numbers are 64 to get a boombox or a cassette recorder. A joystick for your Atari 12. A trampoline 15. Yeah, look at that. I don't think that's a real trampoline. Walkie-talkie set. ColecoVision video game system 90. Dang, now that would have been expensive. That's a lot of stuff to sell because those ColecoVisions were quite a bit of money back then. They were like $300 in the early 80s. You know, that's the equivalent of buying a Xbox One with all of the upgrades to it. Alright, so back to the story. So, the Pentagon. Access to this sub-level of the sprawling complex is restricted by Raven Darkholme to a very select few. None work for the government. Their loyalty is to her. They compromise the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and Raven, in her guise as the shape-changer Mystique, is their leader. These secret hidden chambers are the group's operational headquarters. Irene, I wasn't expecting you, but I'm glad you're here. It has been a brutal day. Rogue is in grave danger, I know. Now, this elderly lady sitting on the couch is Destiny of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Her and Mystique, they never told you about it until like years later, but apparently they were in a romantic relationship. They raised Rogue together. Mystique is old. I mean, when I say old, she is like uh, she's old, like 1800s old. That's how long ago she was born. And so, in reality, Irene, who is Destiny, is actually a lot younger than she is. But her abilities make it so that she doesn't age as much. But anyways, her power is she can see the future. But the thing is, she also sees multiple futures at one time, so she can, and that's how she helped the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. When they were going to make decisions, she would look and see what thing was the most common. It's kind of like the way in X-Men, I'm not X-Men, Avengers: Infinity War, the movie where Doctor Strange was looking at the multiple timelines at one time to see the output. That's what she can do, and then decide which one is the most likely. So she says Val Cooper and Henry Gyrich want to make an example of her to prove that the government can handle super criminals without the aid of heroes like the Avengers. Forge's neutralizer may give them the means to do it. What are your intentions, Raven? I'm really not sure. Rogue's powers are the cause of all her misery. She might she not be better off without them? She could live a normal life. Should have her chance at happiness, and of course be free to return home to you. Well, is that so bad? I love her as my own daughter, Irene. Her place is with me. This is my opportunity to help in a way that Xavier can't. Have you the right to make such a decision without Rogue's knowledge or consent? She is a grown woman, Raven. Well able to take responsibility for her own life. This choice must be hers. You're the precognitive Destiny. Well, you can see the future. One of the things you don't realize about villains, that's one thing I like about Marvel is that at this time that the villains were more in depth than just wanting to rule the world. Mystique, she wanted, she was trying to make mutants feared, so that I think her intentions, though going about them the wrong way, she meant to protect mutant kind, but she went about it the wrong way. She wasn't just about world domination. She loved her daughter. She had a relationship she wanted. She didn't care if Rogue didn't have any superpowers because she loved her. That shows something, that there is some humanity in this woman, this villain. And one of the things that they hinted at in earlier issues, and we find out later on, is that she is actually Nightcrawler's mother also. But we don't find out. It took like 30 almost 30 years for them to reveal that in comics that she was Nightcrawler's mother. Just tell me which course of action is best for Rogue. I wish I could, but these past few days my perceptions have become jumbled, as if the very fabric of time itself has been rent asunder. I am sorry, Raven. The only advice I can offer is that you follow the dictates of your heart. A military transport bound from Washington Andrews Air Force Base. Ordinarily, Henry, this sort of mission would be handled by S.H.I.E.L.D., but they're the spearhead of our war with the dire wraiths. They simply haven't the resources to spare. Supreme Headquarters, International Espionage Law Enforcement Division. For details, see current issues of ROM. I never read ROM the Space Knight. I would like to get my hands on some of those issues. That might be something to cover, especially in this timeline where he was fighting the dire wraiths. My people are the best the FBI and Secret Service have to offer, Dr. Cooper. We won't disappoint you. How will you locate Rogue with Forge's scanner? No, its range is too limited. The damn Windows 10. No, its range is too limited. The module is what the Avengers used to track her when they fought her a while ago. Avengers Annual number 10. This girl's physiology is a synthesis of human and alien. Her hybrid metabolism generates a unique energy aura. This picks it up. We've already got a general fix on her position. The closer we come, the more we'll refine the contact until we've got her nailed. I want her alive, Henry. We'll do our best, ma'am, but no guarantees. Dallas, Texas. She's done what? Our agreement from the beginning, Raven, was that my weapons were not to be used under any circumstances until I released them. Then why did you give them to them, you moron? What can I say, Forge? Val changed the rules. I protested, I screamed bloody murder, and was told in effect to mind my own business. Doesn't she realize it's untested? The impression I received is that she doesn't much care. Her only concern is capturing Rogue. Raven, I have no idea whether the gun removes powers temporarily or permanently, or that might happen to the person in the process. It could cause incalculable damage. It might even kill. That's why I phoned, Forge. No one in authority will listen to me. I'm hoping, praying that you have better luck. If I don't, Ray, the government can find itself another inventor. And he goes to the Forge jet. That's a kind of cool looking plane there. I'm pretty sure he invented that. This is Forge. I want to speak to the president. Dang. He could speak right to the president. Caldecott County, the banks of the Mississippi. This is farming country, where once cotton was king and the stately mansions lined the river, setting a standard for the style and affluent, gracious living that was the envy of the world. It was the way of life people believed would last forever. But the king has long since been dethroned, and most of the great estates fallen into ruin. Of all that once was, only the river remains. She'd forgotten how much she'd missed it. Woo! She swings on the vine. You know, I've been swimming in rivers down the south. I have never had a chance to swing off a vine like that. I probably would have broken my neck. And I sure as heck wouldn't do it now. So she dives into the water. And somebody on a tugboat's like, beautiful, way to go, darling, encore, encore, whistles. Stop that. Stop the boat, I want to get off. Should diet ask for what? I cannot see what that last one says. Ask for faux kitty. What? I don't know what that says. I can't even read it. The print is so small. Thank you, boys. Y'all really know how to do a girl's heart proud. Oh, 5550187. Ask for Jody. Oh, he's giving her phone number. That's his phone number. She says, my kind of picture perfect, delicious, wickedly lazy afternoon. That sun feels so good. And there's just a hint of breeze to keep the body from getting too hot. I should have done this ages ago. I've been away for too long. It's so peaceful hereabouts, but then it's always was. No hassles, no fears. If only it'd last. Hello, Storm. I like the art where you can see. If you look at the panel above where she's first laying down, you kind of see a shadow right below her shoulder, and then Storm casts the shadow over. That's I actually never noticed that before. So she's another example of John Romita's drawing that he's kind of subtle, but you can see that shadow, and then Storm casts the shadow over her face and her neck, and then you can see it past on the other side of her. That's really pretty cool. May I join your room? It's a free country, but don't come too close. I ain't wearing much, and one touch is all it'll take to zap you. This is a lovely spot. I'd hide out here when I was a kid, and the world got too tough, and watch the boats go by, and imagine I was Mark Twain piloting them up the Natchez and St. Louis or south to New Orleans. This is this tree and me have been through a lot, good times and bad. Here's where I first learned about my power. Me and Cody Robbins was fooling around naked, and really, it wasn't anything serious. We just wanted to see what all the fuss was about. I kissed him, and he keeled over. I thought I'd killed him. Then I thought I was going crazy. I heard voices in my head, saw memories, and I knew weren't mine. They were Cody's. I tried to shut 'em out, but I couldn't. So I ran and ran and ran and ran. And after a while, the voices went away, and I was myself again. I guess in a way I've been running ever since. But those days are past. You need to no longer fear who and what you are. Come on, Ororo. I've been at Savior School for months, and nothing's changed. I still can't control my powers. Heck, I'm worse than off than before because now I don't know anyone where my loyalty know anyone more where my loyalties lie. With y'all and Mystique, we are your friends, Rogue. Is there nothing we can do? Woo! Listen to yourself, girl. You hear what you're saying? Weren't you the X-Men who was ready to quit rather than let me join the team? True, Carol Danvers was a friend. I could not forgive what you did to her. Believe me, Orwell, I'd give her anything for that never to have happened. I know your sense of honor and decency is stronger than you care to admit. Give me a break, will you? Because of what I did, I've got I got to spend the rest of my life as two people, Danvers and me. I'll never be myself. I'll never have any thoughts or feelings that are purely my own. Decency not got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with how I feel. The cruelest, saddest in creation couldn't have thought up a worse punishment. Is it any worse? I wonder. I'm so full of anger and hate. Gotta admit, though, it sure fits the crime. Why do you lash out so? Do you trust no one? How can How can anyone trust me, for that matter, when the slightest physical contact might destroy him? Rogue, Rogue, has every exercise of your power been an act of violence? Has no one ever given himself of his own free will? Don't be stupid. It's a kind of like living death. Nobody wants that, even for a moment. No, that ain't quite true. There was Wolverine last year in Tokyo. To save my life, he let me absorb his healing powers. Would you like to see the world through my eyes? No. Remember what happened last time at the Pentagon? I nearly tore the place apart. I was fighting with you then, with every ounce of my being. Today I give of you myself freely, without reservation. Suppose something goes wrong. Suppose I do to you what I did to Carol Danvers, and steal your powers, your memories, yourself forever. I am prepared to take the risk. I'm afraid. You think I am not? And they touch hands. I like it's kind of how they touch hands. You can see the energy transference, and that's not normal when she does it, but it's the power of storm. She goes, "Oh, goddess, I never imagined the world could be so beautiful." And she's just surrounded by electricity. That's pretty cool. And the storm goes down unconscious. The sun and air and the water, I see them as patterns of energy resonating within my own being. I feel aware of every living thing around me. My voice is changing. Becoming a blend of mine and Ororo's. I still have my accent, but the tone is deeper, and my speech more formal like hers. This is very weird, but very neat. A wind has sprung up. A wind has sprung up because of my transformation. Can I calm it? Return things to the way they were? There we go, gently. That does the trick. Oro creates little rainstorms to water her plants. I wonder if seems easy enough. All I need to do is shape the appropriate natural forces carefully through, though without letting things get out of hand. This is great. Ow. Ouch. A bolt of lightning from the cloud hit me in the nerve. Better put your toys away. Playtime is over, girl. Presto. Whatever shall I do for an encore? And then we have our center page, centerfold. That's a ad for the comic book sales list from Mile High Comics. Previous issues, it was just like one page. Now they bought a 2-page spread. They must have been making money back in the 80s. But they have different issues that you could get at different prices. $1 each, 10 for $9, and 50 for $40. They were a superstore out of Boulder, Colorado. They're still in existence. They have a website. And I feel full of such joy and excitement and joy. Nothing seems beyond me. And because Ororo did not resist the transfer, her memories have yet to cause her trouble. Perhaps they never will. I only want a little more. What harm is there in that? And then what am I doing? Kind of like drugs, you got that little bit of taste of that feeling, and you got to have that little bit more to try to satisfy you, but that satisfaction never comes. But she catches herself. She goes, how could I even think about such a thing? Ororo is my friend. Is this how I repay her trust? And all of a sudden, zap, she gets struck in the back. Federal officers, Rogue, we have a warrant for your arrest. What struck me? Nerves turned to acid fire. What to curl up, die, an effort not to scream. Ororo is helpless. Whatever feds want with me, I cannot abandon her. Must draw them away. Bright lady, I can barely get airborne. Concentration shot to blazes. Impossible to maintain. Level flight. Never been so weak. What did they do to me? Trees, no strength to climb above them. Ow, the branches hurt. I should be invulnerable. That energy blast must have affected my powers. The posse heading my way. Well, I guess she's up in a tree. I thought she was on the ground. Like, how could she see him? That's an interesting pose there. Crunch. I heard a cry. Look out. There she goes. How extreme is this power loss? My abilities seem the most affected. Ororo's psyche is gaining ascendancy. I find myself thinking in her terms, reacting as she would. Suppose this effect is permanent. Once her abilities revert, I could become a normal person. But if I lose her powers as well, she's still flying, but erratically. The guns crippled her. Keep after her, Guy Rich. Bring her down. He obviously fires like 2 shots here. How powerful is the energy cell on this thing? When I was a kid, when I used to watch like Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek, I always thought that the energy weapons had like unlimited power, but they had to be recharged. They had to have some kind of battery, so how many charges does this gun have? I need all my speed and agility for Ororo's sake. I dare not afford another hit. And she's skipping on the water like a rock. Since I still control her elemental abilities, I shall put them to good use. A small tornado should prove sufficient. Hit the deck. Boom. Throwing cars with a tornado. Unfortunately, nearby, where the blazes did this mess come from? 5 minutes ago, the sky was clear. Now we're in the middle of a full-fledged hurricane. Mayday, mayday, tug long shot. Annie declaring an emergency. We've lost our main engines and we're taking water. Yeah, lightning, wind, rain. This is a real storm. And then we have some more ads. The Marvel Supermart. Ad to place ads in Marvel Comics. Serendipity Comic Book Marts. Apparently they're a traveling comic book market they had back then. Comic catalog 10 cents. How to be a slam dunker. Muscles in 7 days. Right, I'd like to see that. Charles Atlas. Comic books, free offer, millions of gold banknotes. Yeah. Send a self-addressed envelope for free Marvel and DC list. Marvel Comics back issues for sale cheap. Golden State Comics. How to get your high school diploma. Comics bought and sold. Rainbows and Comics in La Mesa, California. And Marvel and DC's lowest prices. Am I the cause? Is this a reaction, a reflection of my rage with the feds? My lord, no wonder Ororo has been so squirrely. Uh, if this is what she has to live with, her every emotion echoed by the weather around her, for all I care, the feds can drown. Serve them right. That siren, that tug I saw earlier, she, she must be in trouble. Those guys aren't a part of this. They're innocent bystanders. I can't allow them to come to any harm. Now, if that reaction wasn't pure Ororo, I don't know what is. Whatever will people think I'm supposed to be as cruel and nasty as they come? Dearie me, land sakes alive, this will ruin my reputation. And quit clowning a girl. Remember what you did before. See the yellow patterns of force. I I can't. My mind's a blank. Oro's special perceptions are gone. I'm trying to make the elements obey my will, but nothing's happening. And then 4 more triumphs for Marvel Comics, and we see the comic book that we're reading, Uncanny X-Men 185, Power Pack number 2. I might introduce you all to Power Pack. I don't know. West Coast Avengers number 1, and Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man number, I can't see what it is. I think it's 93. And this is when Spider-Man had the symbiote as his costume, and him and Black Cat were in a relationship. Be calm, Rogue. I am here. There, this storm is dispersing. How long have you been okay? My awareness began to return when we were last on the beach. I felt the lightning strike. That means that the thoughts I had about the tug's crew weren't hers at all, but my own. Ain't that a crock? My rep really is shot. I brought your tunic. Thanks. You look strangely happy. Just coming to terms with myself, considering what you may know what you're really talking about. Perhaps I'm not as rotten as I'd like to think. There is hope for everyone, child. If you say so, what's our next move? The tug is floundering. We must tow it ashore. You believe what you're saying, Jody? Women's live backs. The feds left me alone for so long, Storm. I wonder what made them suddenly come after me. They believe that you're responsible for the murder of the SHIELD agent during the rescue of Michael Rossi. That's crazy. I didn't kill anyone. There was a dead guy in Rossi's cell, but he'd been whacked by his partner. Ororo, I'm being framed. We better make tracks while we still have a chance. We've got a weapon that cancels out superpower. They've got a weapon that cancels out superpowers. And look, they're bringing in reinforcements. I know of this neutralizer. Rogue Mystique told me when she told me where to find you. Wow, this is interesting. For that story, see future issues of Marvel Fanfare. That's really interesting. I was wondering how she found her, but I thought Cerebro did it, but I knew it was. It's been so long since I read this, and so I wasn't aware that it was Mystique that told her where she was. Company Dr. Cooper, that's Forge's private jet. Splendid. Those beauties are headed right for us. So they're trying to, Rogue and Storm are trying to help this tugboat crew. And they're like, "Oh, they're a target. Good, here comes the target. We can kill them now." You know, the current is too swift, the water too rough. If we abandon this vessel and it sinks, its crew may drown. Our powers, our presence, place them in danger, Rogue. We must save them if we can, regardless of the danger. My mistake was using the minimal setting. I've recalibrated it for full power. And then we have the bullpen bulletins, where it's written um, by Jim Shooter, who was the publisher, the editor in chief of Marvel at that time. And we have some more comics. The Secret War, a Secret Wars issue, West Coast Avengers #1, Alpha Flight, and the Submariner. And they have a Marvel checklist to make sure you buy all the Marvel comics that came out that month. And let's see, did I buy The Thing? I probably bought. Daredevil, no. New Mutants, yes. Marvel Super Secret Wars, #5, yes. West Coast Avengers #1, I bought at that time. Temple of Doom. I do believe I bought the Temple of Doom. It's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Conan the King, no. Amazing Spider-Man, probably. Captain America 297, no. Thor, no. Indiana Jones, no. Power Pack, yes, I did. Crystar, no. Submariner, no. Incredible Hulk 299, no, but I did buy 300, which is the one where the Hulk is on the rampage. Avengers 247, no. Conan the Barbarian, nope. Marvel Tales, no, not that one. I didn't buy that one. X-Men, yes, obviously. ROM, no. Power Man 9, no. G.I. Joe 27, yes. Fantastic Four 270, I'm pretty sure I bought that one too. I was big into Fantastic Four at that time. Marvel Team Up Spider-Man and Iron Man, no. Iron Man, no. Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, no. Defenders, no. Star Wars, possibly. Alpha Flight, no. This time I was in high school, so I wasn't collecting as much as I was later on. Guy Rich, don't! And he fires the gun at full power. And instead of hitting Rogue, he hits Storm. Look out! And she just lets out this huge scream. This is another example of John Romita Jr.'s freaking awesome art. You can see the energy literally leaving Storm's body, like exploding out of her eye, out of her mouth, out of her body, out of her hands and her legs. It's just all that energy just shot out of her. So, and it destroys the freaking tugboat. And all that energy, the feds, these guys are federal agents supposed to be protecting the public, and they're more of a freaking threat than the people that they're trying to catch, because they did more. They hit the tugboat with all these guys on it. You see them all diving off, so apparently they all live. But they were so gung ho about taking her down, that they don't, or at least Guy Ritchie is, that it puts everybody else in danger. And then we have the ad for the task force, which I've told you about last time with the issue 182. And Forge runs out. Oh no, there's Storm, but I can't see any sign of the other one, Rogue. She fell in mid-channel. The current must have swept her away. She caught the full brunt of Storm's power discharge and the secondary explosions of the tug's fuel tanks. If she survives, it'll be a miracle. The boat crew are all okay, thank heaven. Take my hand, Forge. I can make it my own, Guy Ritchie. I don't want your help. I hope you're feeling proud, mister. You just shot the wrong woman. She was aiding and abetting a fugitive. They were trying to save lives. They could have escaped, but they didn't. Whatever Rogue did, she was, and especially Storm, are supposedly innocent until proven guilty. That's the law, Guy Ritchie. Only for Storm, at trial superfluous. I'm sorry. Superfluous. Thanks. Thanks to you, she's already condemned. You stripped her of her powers. You've destroyed her. And there's no way she could ever be made whole again. Outlaws they may be in the eyes of the government, but the X-Men have always fought for humanity. Your stupidity has changed that. You may have single-handedly have turned them from the defenders of to our deadliest enemies. And then we have at first I thought they were in fire, then I realized it's the Dire race watching. Just behold, sisters, in our mystic scrying pool, the foremost threat to the direst yet posed by these upstart mammals. The mechanism is a primitive analog to the neutralizer used against us by our most dread foe, the Glandorian Silver Space Knight, ROM. But yet its power cannot harm us, but it is derived from similar principles. Given time, its creator will inevitably evolve it into a terror version of the accursed Glandorian weapon. Every human soldier will have the means to banish us from as ROM to limbo. That we cannot allow, for it would be our defeat and doom. Therefore, Forge must die. And here you get the first look at the Dire race. Like I said, they are an offshoot of the Skrulls. So I'll give you a little bit of a history of the Skrulls. So, millennia ago or eons ago, there was a host of Celestials that traveled the universe, and they went to different planets that had sentient races. And they would create offshoots of the race. They would have a mainstay race, like on Earth, it was the humans, but they had the ability to eventually evolve, which would lead to mutants and stuff. They did the same on a Skrull world, homeworld. But then they also created a deviant race who had an erratic genetic structure that was always random. And they did the same thing on Earth. And they also created an eternal race of people that of an offshoot that would live forever. They would sustain on cosmic energy. Well, so on Skrullos, the home world, they created a deviant. They created the sub races, the Eternals, the I call them normals. I forget what they call them. And then they created with the ability to eventually mutate, and the deviant race. Well, the deviant race are the Skrulls on Skrullos wiped out the Eternals and the normal Skrulls, and they became the Skrulls that, the shape-shifting Skrulls that became the Skrull Empire. So, and then with the Dire race, were somehow within the Skrull race. There was like this cult that started practicing magic, dark magic, and they actually split off from the Skrulls, the normal Skrulls, and became the Dire race. And they were so hated that they were even banned from the Skrull Empire. Is how bad they are. Sorry, my dog tried to rip my headset off. Anyway, so the Dire race are like basically a plague between them and the Brood in Marvel Comics. They give the Brood a run for their money. I might have to do a video on the Brood. So anyways, we have our X-Men. We have Madeline Pryor here. And I'm not going to read this because I'm going to have to put this up. Anyways, supposedly she's answering the letters here. So then we have the ad for subscribing to Marvel Comics, a bonus sales slip here, and then an ad for free storybook record for the new movie, The Muppets Take Manhattan. I loved all of the Muppet movies as a kid. I never really got into The Muppets Take Manhattan. I've only seen it a couple of times, but my favorite Muppet movie is actually The Muppet Christmas Carol. And then we have the Star Wars arcade game from Parker Brothers for the home game. Yeah, so if it was on the Atari 2600, it's not that great. I like how they have the guy. You can't even see. I mean, you can look at the graphics and can tell it's nothing compared to what it was in the arcade. Alright, well, I'm going to wrap up this video of Uncanny X-men number 185, Rogue Public Enemy. I'm not going to do an X-Men video next time. I'm probably not even going to do Marvel Comics. So do something. I've been watching the Elseworlds crossover on the Arrowverse on CW. So I'm probably going to do something that has to do with an Elseworlds comic. That's what I'm thinking of. And so stay tuned and kind of nerdy for what that might be. Just want to say peace, love, and happiness to everybody. Stay safe. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And I will see you soon. This is Ron for Kinda Nerdy. Have a